Yo guys, welcome back to another video. This is the 6th and final video in the OP-07 card review series, where we're taking a look at each color, breaking them down, looking at the cards, giving you guys my first thoughts and impressions. And before we jump into it, so yellow's our last color, but before we jump into it, I want to give a quick shout out to One Piece Top Decks for having all of the English translated cards here on this website. Not only do they have that, they have a bunch of deck lists and cards, and you search things, you can get a bunch of information, especially if you're trying to look for deck lists to use or build off of. It's a great resource. And one more quick shout out to Adrif for being the inspiration for me to try and do this series. He's done this for all the other previous sets as well, so please go check out his channel and subscribe to him if you aren't already, and let's jump right into it. Alright, so we're on yellow. This is the final color for the set, and we got my boy Dr. Vegapunk. This is my favorite alt art of all of the leaders for OP-07, and I really want this. I really want this card. Outside of Dragon, Vegapunk is actually the leader I'm the next most excited for. If Foxy was a wild card, and I'm not sure how good he's going to be, Vegapunk is like a double wild card, where it's just like, man, I really don't know, and I'm not sure. But let's take a look at his effect. It's a mono yellow, 5000 power, wisdom. This leader cannot attack, so we got another leader who can attack. Activate main once per turn, rest 1 Dawn. Place up to 1 cost 5 or less card with the egg type from your hand face up on top of your life or into play. So that's really important as well. And it's a egghead and scientist trait, and it has 2 life. 2 life. 2 life. Not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, 2. So yeah, it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting. The mechanic here is, in order to get around people hating yellow even more and just giving them even more busted triggers, they thought, Bandai was probably like, hey, let's just make it so that most of the time all of your life is gonna be face up, so your opponent knows what they're attacking into. Or just, you know, the triggers are really strong. But yeah, it's like the triggers are really strong, but your opponent knows what they're attacking into, or they start off with 2 life, so the amount of chances for you to get hurt from like obnoxious triggers is lower, just in general, right? Which I do think is a fair workaround. The fact that this leader can't attack is like, you know, it's always hard with that, and we saw with Kairos from EB01 that playing a lot of cards face up into life, or like if he flips his own life over, right? But having face up cards in life, it kind of ends up like it makes your opponent able to like play around you and make you know, have a lot of information to make the right moves in order to go for lethal and stuff like that. So we'll see. Egghead or Vegapunk does seem like it's gonna be kind of a more grindy matchup or leader, which is not really my favorite. Like, I'm not a huge fan of like blue yellow queen. I do like a Nell though, and that can be pretty grindy, so we'll have to see. I will definitely be doing some testing. I'll probably build out a deck in real life as well, just because Vegapunk's sick. All the Egghead arc is so awesome. If you know, you know. If you're reading the manga, well, and the anime is getting there now too, right? But yeah, let's move on. Let's get started. Let's get going. So we got Atlas, the first satellite here. 5 cost, 6000 power, counter 1000. If your life is lower than your opponent's, this card cannot be KO'd in battle, so it's alright. And then the trigger is, if your leader is Vegapunk, play this card. You're about to see this a whole lot. You're about to hear me say that a lot, because that is like the main trigger for a lot of the Egghead cards, which is cool. It's cool. Yeah, if you want to play this turn 1 and then your opponent swings in, you know, I guess their turn 2, like you get a 5 cost 6k body on the board. There's going to be advantages and disadvantages to all of these kind of like Egghead plays, so we'll have to see if it pays off. Next we got Usopp. The Vegapunk deck here also just kind of acts as like a new Straw Hat deck, because it's got like all the satellites and all the Straw Hats. So if you're a big Straw Hat fan, look out for Vegapunk and get pumped for him, because it's going to be a cool new way to try out a lot of the new Straw Hats, or like a lot of the Straw Hat characters. So I think that is cool, and they're all rocking their Egghead gear and stuff. So he's a 1-drop, 2000, counter 2000, so there's your 2k counter. Trigger, up to one of your Egghead type leader or characters gain 2 plus 2000 until the end of your next turn. So would be really strong if the leader could attack, but it's just decent with just what it is, right? Yeah, and this is probably going to be used mostly as a 2k counter, so you're not going to be wanting to put this into your life anyways with the leader effect. But let's move on. This is Edison. 4 cost, 5,000 power, counter 2k. So there are a few 2ks. I believe Frankie is also a 2k later on. But on play, if you have 2 or less life cards, draw 2 cards and trash 2 cards from your hand. So cycle 2 cards and then trigger. If your leader is Vegapunk, play this card. This is pretty good. This is pretty good. Again, anything that's hitting these like 4 cost 5k stats and with a 2k counter, like that's pretty decent, man. I know this can look like not that good on paper, but having so many 2k counters and having a bunch of 5k bodies that you can get on the board can really be stronger than it seems. So never underestimate the power of just like simple like counter and attack power, right? Next we got Shaka. Daft Punk coming at you one more time. 5 cost, 6k, 1000 counter, blocker, trigger. If your leader is Vegapunk, play this card. Where have we seen that trigger before? Scientist Egghead. Just good generic 5 cost, 6k blocker. This is really, really good. If you're playing against Yamato, this is the card that you mulligan for, probably, I'm guessing. I do think Yellow Green Yamato is going to be really strong into Vegapunk, so we'll have to see. But this is a good card for sure. Alright, next we got Jinbei, 5 cost, 6,000 power, 1,000 counter, trigger, return up to 1 4 cost or lower character to your opponent's hand, then add this card to your hand. So it's like that one Wano yellow trigger dude from like OP-03 or OP-04, where you actually get the trigger, but you also add it to hand, which is pretty good. Obviously you're not playing him, but still decent. You're getting rid of a 4 cost or lower. It is bouncing, not getting rid of, sorry. It's just bouncing to your opponent's hand. But it's alright. It's pretty good. And then we got Chopper, looking all cute in his little outfit. 2 cost, 3k, counter 1000. Just a vanilla with a trigger. Choose one of your characters with the Egghead. During this turn, it gains blocker. Then add this card to your hand. So, yeah, it's hard. There's so many cards here that it's hard to see all the lines and combos and stuff. But this could be pretty good if you have like a higher, like say your opponent's going for lethal and you have a 5 6 7k body on the board. That's an Egghead card. Then yeah, you use this, and this is essentially like it's almost like you get a block. It's not free, but you get a blocker and a plus a 1k counter because this is going to your hand. Next we got Robin, looking healthy, looking good. 3 cost, 4k, counter 1000. If your leader has the Egghead type, draw 2 cards. So if it was just play this card, I would actually say this card is not very good at all. But the trigger being draw 2 cards makes it probably worth running, just I guess so you have like I don't know, more Egghead and Straw Hat targets. We'll have to see. This one I'm not too sure on. Then we got Pythagoras, 5 cost, 6k. So a lot of like the robot satellites and stuff, right, are like 5 cost, 6k. Plus 1k counter. On KO, if you have 2 or less life, play up to 1 Egghead character with the cost of 4 or less from your trash rested. And then trigger, if your leader is Vegapunk, play this card. So pretty decent. I think this will be pretty clutch because like it's an Egghead character, right, 4 or less. You could play Edison rested. You could play Frankie, or I guess this works with Vega Force 1. I don't know if you'll be running this card though, so maybe it's not that good. Then we take a break from all the Egghead to have a random Sky Island card here. It's Fuza, but yeah, I think it's Fuza, right? Yeah, Fuza. 4 cost, 6k, Dawn 1 when attacking. If you have 1 or less life cards, KO up to one of your opponent's cost 3 or less characters. So like kind of good. If this had a counter, I think it would actually be worth running. It goes well obviously with like the Gone Fall blocker from EB01. And as someone who loves Sky Island, everything about it, and also the archetype, like right now Sky Island Yamato is my favorite to run as well. I was hoping for just 1 or 2 more cards that we support from there. Like even if it helps Enel, I don't care. But if it would help the Sky Island build for Yamato, that would be cool too. I don't think we're getting that with this card, but you know, I guess you can't ask for too much. This is the Frankie, and yes, it was a 2k counter, so I was correct. Super sick alt art there. And then 4 cost, 5k, 2k counter, trigger, draw 1 card. Then if you have 1 or less life, play this card. So really, really good. And he's a rare, and that's why this is decent. This is really decent. Vega Force 1 is your 4 cost, 6k, 1k counter vanilla. I don't know. I really don't know about this card though. I mean, this is probably the main target for Pythagoras, right? Then we got this sick Luffy SR, which almost like was super awesome art. I love the background. almost ironically, well, let's read the effect first. 5 cost 6k, counter 1000, activate main. You may place this card, you may place this character in your trash, excuse me. If your life is 2 or less, KO up to one of your opponent's cost 4 or less characters, then draw 1 card. Trigger, KO up to one of your opponent's cost 4 or less characters. 4 Emperors, Egghead, Straw Hat Crew. Like, sure, you can run this in the Egghead Vegapunk deck, but I actually think this is pretty decent in the starter deck 13, like the Three Brothers builds, which is cool. Let me see, KO, yeah, activate main. You place this character in the trash. If your life is 2 or less, yeah, and because you can put this character in the trash, it's going to be Black Yellow Luffy that gets the most benefit from it, because you can play this card and then activate main if you need to, and then you can KO something, but you're also getting the draw, and then this goes to trash, and then you can just use Black Yellow Luffy effect, leader effect, to put it back into your life to play off of one of the kids. So just giving yourself the ability to like put things into trash is really strong in Black Yellow Luffy. Like, taking your own life and putting things into trash is extremely valuable in Black Yellow Luffy. So maybe you could try it in like Blue Yellow Ace. Not sure about Red Yellow Sabo, but actually probably better in Black Yellow Luffy than it is in Vegapunk. Then we got York. Oh, York. That's a delicious looking sandwich though. 5 cost 6000 power, counter 1k. On play, you may add the top or bottom card from your life to your hand. KO up to one of your opponent's cost 2 or lower characters. So I don't know about this. And then trigger, if your leader is Vegapunk, play this card. The effect makes sense, right? If you know what I'm talking about, but like I don't know, with 2 life already, man, I don't know. Because you're not triggering anything when you take something from life to hand. So I don't know. I don't know about this. I don't think it's going to be very good. But maybe I'm missing something. And we got Lilith, my favorite satellite. Lilith is cool. I love her jacket. And this is a very healthy. Shaka and Lilith are my favorite for sure. Very, very healthy. Like almost like anti-gravity levels of healthy here. That's the alt art. And the regular art is just as good and healthy looking as well. So we got a 3 cost 5k. On play, look at the top 5 cards of your deck and reveal up to 1 card with the type Egghead other than Lilith and put it into your hand. Then put the rest of your cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. Trigger, if your leader is Vegapunk, play this card. So this is really good. This is like the film Nami Searcher, where it's a 3 cost 5k. And this one has a trigger. Nami doesn't. Nami, you can redo it obviously, but like reuse it. But this is still good. This is a good searcher. It's strong. It's a 5k. You can play it out of life. So most of the time, you're probably just going to be using leader effect as early as possible to put this into life. And then you get that extra draw and a 5k body on board. So really good. Really good. Next, we got Lucy. Lucy. This is from Dressrosa. Which Lucy is it, right? That's the question. It's Revolutionary Army, so I think that gives us a hint. It's a 6 cost 7k. This card's really good though. When attacking once per turn, you may put the top or bottom card of your life pile into your hand. Rest up to one of your opponent's 4 cost or lower characters. Then, if your life total is 1 or less, place the top card of your deck onto the top of your life. So I think in general, this card is just like pretty strong. I'm wondering, like, obviously this is some Kairos support as well for sure. You may put the top or bottom card of your life pile into your hand. I think this is mostly geared towards Kairos, but you could probably run this in Black Yellow Luffy or even Red Yellow Sabo, because it has 7,000 power already. You can just, for 7 Dawn, you could play this and then put 1 on Sabo and put this into your life. The only problem is obviously there's no trigger or anything, so, and it's not rush. The rush characters are a little bit more higher value for you in the Red Yellow Sabo deck, but yeah, pretty cool. And I just, for whatever reason, I think it just has like a very, very strong combo and like stat line, so I think this will be teched into certain decks. And then we got Capone Gang Beige. Roronoa Zora. This is a 5 cost, 6,000 power, 1k counter. Trigger, if your leader has the Egghead type, rest up to one of your opponent's leaders or characters. And it's like, it's another beige, just slightly more balanced and not overtuned. So it is leader locked, which is great, and it's not as bad as they can't attack. because it's just rest. So if it's a 9-cost Zoro that gets hit by this, it can restand, right? Or if it's like, I guess like Uta, you can always play I'm Invincible. It's not as bad as Beige. I think this is a card you can live with. I hate the Beige trigger so much with a passion, and I liked playing an L in OP-05, so trust me, I get it. I've won games with it. I've run it in my Yamato decks as well, but even with all that said, I think that's a card that I would not lose a minute of sleep over that card just getting outright banned. So seeing cards like this and like Dadan, the new Dadan, and some of the other cards that have like similar effects to cards we already have seen makes me wonder if some of those cards are the ones that are going to get hit. I don't know. This might just be Bandai trying to create other support cards like that are less overtuned and more balanced, so we'll see. But it's a good card. Like, I'm not gonna, this is nothing to like cry home to mom about. It's not like the most overpowered card in the world. Just decent, and honestly Vegapunk needs a card like this, so I'm actually not mad at seeing it. So we got the man with the greatest brain, I guess like the smartest man in the world, the 1-cost main. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, add 1 card with the egghead type other than this card, and then place the rest at the bottom in any order. Triggers, draw 1 card. So this is your searcher, event searcher. It's a main. Yeah, just decent, right? This is way throwback, man. This is before we knew anything, and everyone thought like Vegapunk was gonna be like a really tall, like striped sweater wearing like crazy villain or something. So when we ended up getting this instead, I'm pretty sure myself and everyone were like, what? But yeah, that's what happens when a character debuts like 15 years after it gets introduced. 1-cost event here, it's a counter. If you have 2 or less life, up to one of your leader or characters gains plus 3k during this battle. And then trigger, play up to 1 egghead character with a cost of 5 or less from your trash. So pretty good trigger. This is just yellow guard point, which is cool. And there's a stipulation where it's if you have 2 or less life. So, and it's scientist egghead, so it's like, it's such an easy condition for Vegapunk to meet that instead of keeping it like strictly leader locked, it's like essentially leader locked. It's kind of like some of those Rob Lucci cards, and I really like the way Bandai are doing this, where you can create some strong cards for some of these leaders. You just need to make it so that the conditions are met like mostly only by those leaders, to the point where it's like almost risky or a gamble or just not worth it to play in a lot of other leaders. And as long as they do that, like, I think it's gonna be fine. So really happy with how stuff like this is turning out, and it's please save me. Good moment too. And then here we go. If there's one other card, there's one more card after this, but for yellow-green Yamato support, there's this, which might be okay. It's a 1-cost main and counter, which is the saving grace of this card. Give up to 1 leader or character plus 1000 power for the turn. Then, if your opponent has 2 life or less, rest up to one of your opponent's 4-cost or lower characters. Trigger, rest up to one of your opponent's 4-cost or lower characters. Flame Spit. Land of Wano and 9 red scabbards. So, it's like a diet Amaru, right? Where it's like, instead of 3k plus 3k, you get plus 1k. And then if your opponent's at 2 or less life, rest up to one of your opponent's 4-cost or lower characters. So it's kind of like an opposite diet baby Amaru, if that makes sense. With a decent trigger. This game, I'll be testing this in Yamato, so we'll see. It is, the leader character is plus 1k for the turn, so that could be decent when you're using it as a counter. Like if your opponent has like 4 or 5 attacks that are coming in, it's like White Snake for Nami, which is actually a really good event in the blue Nami build now, where you give yourself, when you give your leader plus 1k for the turn, you become a Whitebeard for the turn. So if your opponent has 4 attacks, that's essentially 4 Dawn that you're making them waste to like get the extra boost, you know, if that makes sense. Could be strong. We'll see. I'm hoping this might be a decent tech, but we'll see. It's searchable by Momo, but most people are running Sky Island events right now, so running Shura is better for that in anyways. So we'll see. And then the last like regular card here is Egghead. This is a 2-cost stage. End of your turn, if your life is at 3 or less, set up to one of your characters that's a cost 5 or less with the Egghead type as active. And then trigger, play this card. I wish they had called it Punk Records. I get it, it's Egghead the Island, but it would have been cool if this was Punk Records. I don't know, I just think that's such a cool name. Glad that this is like the shot of it though. I don't know if this is gonna be worth running. It could though. The only problem is if it was activate main, this would be like a 2 to 4 of in every Vegapunk build. The thing here is though is like, I guess you can you can attack with Shaka and then restand him or something like that, or you know, just to make sure your leader can't attack. So having something like this is really important, because then you can play this card and then you know, you can restand at least one character every turn that's 5 or less, but most of your characters are 5 or less anyways, and you're probably almost always going to be at 3 or less life. So we'll see. This is one of those, this is another one, I know I keep saying this, but like this is one of those cards where it's like you'd have to test it out, and it maybe in some of the builds it'll be worth it, but not really sure. So we took a look at Blue Sabo at the end of the black stuff there, but this is the last card here. This is the alt art for it, but I'm actually more of a fan of the normal art here. This is so sick. I don't know why. I have no reason why Ace and Sabo are the two secrets for this set. It doesn't make sense thematically. It came out of nowhere. I guess it's support for like the whatchamacallit, the Three Brothers decks. Like Sabo is probably pretty decent in Black Yellow Luffy, and this card is really good in an L. So I don't know why they made this card, but you know what? It also might be good in Yellow Green Yamato, and any chance I get to put Ace and Yamato together in a deck, you bet your booty I'm taking that chance. So this is a 10 drop, 10,000 power special. On play, you may add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life, so heal a life. Then if you have 2 life cards or less, this character gains rush for this turn. So really good here. You essentially, as long as you're only at 1, if you're at 1 or less life, you play this, you heal, and then you'll be at 2 or less with the heal, and then it still gets rush. The only problem is 10 drops need to be like extremely overvalued. This is why Big Mom is still run, because it's like a +3, because you're getting like trash life, heal life, getting a huge body on board. This Ace is only a 10k too, but the sick thing here is like you can play this in Yamato, heal a life, and then with leader effect make it a 12k. So hey, there you go. Yeah, I think this is going to be really good in an L. This is like possible to run in Yamato. I think maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a world where this 8-cost Sabo and this 10 drop Ace are good in Black Yellow Luffy, but we'll have to see. This actually could be decent in Red Yellow Sabo or Blue Yellow Ace. It's really hard to tell with some of these combos, but yeah, this is the other secret rare. I will be trying to get 4 copies, and I'm actually really glad I like the regular alt art better, so I won't be trying to get the alt arts. So I am going to try and get 4 of these just so that I have them. Yeah, because I'm going to be testing this in my Yamato build for sure. And that is going to wrap up yellow. That was our last color. That was the last card of OP-07. We're done. If you watched all of the videos, if you stuck through with me until the end, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was a lot to go over, but I actually had a lot of fun. It's so much fun like taking a deep dive, because you got to go through all the cards once or twice to really like get to know them and start memorizing them and getting them in your brain and thinking about the different combos and stuff that you want to do. But yeah, that's it for OP-07. I hope you guys enjoyed, and keep an eye out, because I'm going to be making some videos for like the Starter Deck 13 leaders, the EBO1 leaders, and then OP-07 is coming out this weekend over here in Japan, and I will be opening up 1 or 2 boxes and making a video for that as well. And then eventually I'll be making some more videos about some of the leaders and guides and deck lists and stuff like that. So please keep an eye out for all of that stuff. But just for now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.